the IAF, Indian Air Force, in a brilliant strategy that employed decoy to take out Pakistan's air defense capabilities that resulted in several cities of Pakistan becoming vulnerable to Indian airstrikes. So the IAF now, remember, as more details come in, planned and began launching dummy aircraft designed to simulate an incoming fighter threat. This decoy tactic prompted Pakistan to activate its radar system and air defense systems, including the HQ-9 missile batteries. Once these systems were exposed, Indian forces launched loitering munitions such as Israeli Harop drones to neutralize the air defense system, particularly in Lahore. Now, with the Pakistani radar network compromised, the IAF then followed up with long-range precision strikes. The BrahMos cruise missile alongside Scalp, Crystal Maze and Rampage munition were used to devastate some of these air defense systems of Pakistan as well as their airfields. Now, these were launched from fighter aircraft operating under Western and Southwestern Air Commands. All these details now coming to light through various channels and sources after success of Operation Sindoor and the following action that India took on Pakistan when Pakistan decided to retaliate. What we do know now is that the Indian Air Force, in a brilliant strategy, employed decoys, and that is how it was able to take out Pakistan's air defense capabilities. And this is exactly what resulted in several cities of Pakistan becoming vulnerable to Indian airstrikes. The IAF began with the launch of dummy aircraft, and this was a strategy that they used to simulate an incoming fighter threat. The moment that fighter threat was identified by Pakistan Air Defense System, it prompted the air radars to be activated, and including the HQ-9 missile batteries were now exposed to India. So once these systems were exposed, Indian forces launched loitering munition such as Harop drones to neutralize their air defense grid. These are details that are now coming to light since the success of Operation Sindoor. Joining me right now on the show is Air Marshal VPS Rana. He's a defense and strategy expert. Air Marshal, thank you very much, sir, for taking time out. I think as more and more details come to light, sir, we are now made familiar with the prowess and the strategy that went behind planning some of those retaliatory strikes. Now, I think it's important to point out, sir, that the strikes that India made on Lahore's air defense system came barely, 24 after its initial military precision strikes. But in less than 24 hours, India was able to mount a decoy, able to successfully identify Pakistan's AD and also neutralize it.
Thank you, Sweta. I'm sure now people are more aware how the air operations are conducted, and as it unfolds, more and more people would know exactly. And in your show earlier, also I was saying air campaign is a very, very complex process. It's not as simple as the BrahMos landing up and destroying those airfields. It's a very complex process, and all over the world, it is certain basic norms are set. Like whenever you plan enemy strike onto enemy territory or enemy assets, the first thing that you need to take out is the air defense system of the enemy. That taking out the air defense network and air defense asset could be either through something known as a suppression of enemy air defenses through the softer means like electronic warfare. That means you are basically jamming the entire AD network, or it could be by physical strike, which is known as a DAD, which is a destruction of the enemy air defenses. And that is what we did in this case. But all these things from the day one when we had struck those on a terror network targets, I'm sure even that time there must have been a whole lot of air activity behind that to take the attention of the enemy away and thereby not letting the harm come to your own platforms. Coming to this particular specific strike that you talked about, Lahore and other AD network, was on the next when they still continued with attack despite our only precise terror target attacking. And when they continued the next day, now was the time when the real air campaign started, where now you had to take out the enemy air defenses. And when you plan to take out the enemy air defenses, then what you are referring to as a decoy, this is a part and parcel of your mission planning. You do not want enemy to come to know where the attack is going to come from. So all these decoy missions also are fully armed aircraft. They could also be part of your plan B in case your plan A doesn't work out for some reason. And it is all planned. The plan A is planned beforehand, plan B is planned beforehand. And these decoys are primarily meant to activate in a particular sector, activate those AD assets, and thereby then either you take on them through the ARMs, which are active radiation missiles. But in today we have much better options in terms of Harop and Harpy, which can home on to these radiations. And even if they're very peculiar about all these loitering munitions is they could be there for 8-9 hours waiting for the enemy to activate. So even if they had not activated right then, and for some reason known that these are the decoys and they would have shut their AD systems, maybe we could have preempted them again to open up. And as and when they open up, start radiating to pick up our threat, that is the time you would these loitering munitions would strike. One of the strike that came on the next on 10th was also on their AWACS, AWC aircraft in Bholari, which is there is video of one Pakistan Air Marshal which is talking about this particular aircraft. You showed that hangar being destroyed. I believe that aircraft was inside the hangar. And one of the squadron who died in that is the air defense weapon controller. In our parlance, the fighter controller who manned the AWACS and the command and control centers. He had just come back from his mission, and generally in wartime they would have quickly refueled, rearmed, and moved out. But apparently they stayed there, and the rest of the history. That aircraft, in all likelihood, is lost inside the hangar itself.
All right, thank you for sharing those details. I think it's also important to understand, as you rightly mentioned, some of these details emerging, Air Marshal, are also making people acquainted of the craft of Air Force, of how difficult the planning process is. And as you pointed out, this could have taken days, if not weeks, to pre-plan. So there was a plan A in place, which is the military strikes that came on 7th of May, and plan B and plan C if Pakistan continues to retaliate. To your assessments, when it compares to India's Air Force capabilities and the employment of these decoys, how many months, if not weeks, does it take? Because I think we're also trying to draw out a timeline here. Just yesterday, news came in that Prime Minister, while he was in Saudi Arabia, which is when the unfortunate attack in Pahalgam happened, decided to quickly spring into action. War rooms were set up. Top officials from, security personnel to our intelligence agencies were called in. How many days to weeks, do you think, in your assessment, did it take to India to arrive at a robust, defense mechanism and plan out these strikes?
Either one of the characteristics of the Air Force is the speed, and the next is the flexibility. Both are on display in this case. Air Force is ready 24/7. All these plans are afoot. Targets are available. Targets are studied. All intelligence on targets are kept ready. All that you need to do is now to get onto the specifics, that where are you going to hit, what are you going to hit, and with what are you going to hit. So this does not take too much of a time. All that it takes time is for the political establishment to decide that what we want to do, what we want to use our Air Force for. Air Force will be ready within, in terms of hours. It doesn't take days to be there. Of course, the very, very specific planning will take a little while. That means just to get the right configuration, just to get the right tactics in place for a given this thing. But it actually, let me tell this to all the viewers through your channel. Air Force is ready 24/7, and it can be. That is the characteristics of the Air Force, of the air power. It is readily available to you. All that is required is a political will. In this case, it was there. And everybody has seen it was delivered in no time. The initial time taken, probably in my opinion, could have been that we wanted to synergize all our operations, synergize the army operations into this, synergize every other, no, we wanted to go in a synergized manner. There are certain target systems which were to be taken by the army. There were certain target systems taken to be taken out by the Air Force. And we wanted to go in an integrated manner. We wanted to also organize our air defenses in a way that no harm comes to our aircraft and platforms. So all those things, but they are in place 24 by
All right.
7.
I have to ask you, sir, before I let you go. I think there's also news coming in now that this was the first time that BrahMos was used in active strikes on Pakistan, and sources are suggesting that perhaps 10 to 15 BrahMos missiles were used to target some of these airstrips, shelters, and the AD systems of Pakistan. This goes on to also prove the capability of BrahMos, sir.
Absolutely. I think this is the best weapon that has come out. This is the first time we have used, and like I've been saying, this is a ready-made laboratory that we got to showcase the capability of this weapon system. We always knew that this is a very, very capable system, but this is the first time we got to fire this. And no, the results are for everybody to see. There is something known as a CEP, the circular error probability. That means where it is going to hit. It is in terms of meters. That means you are so precise in your targeting and the effects that you want to achieve. It would not go anywhere else but to the intended target. And we've seen that when it is the attack on the runways, it has gone precisely where it was supposed to hit. It has gone on to the AD systems. It has gone on to the hangars, and it has not strayed anywhere. No, there is not a single instance of this missile going astray and going even 10, 15, 20 meters away than the intended target. It has just fallen where it was expected to. And I think this is a big, big win for our indigenous effort. And like I said, this is only the one missile. There are a whole lot of other systems which are at play simultaneously for this mission to fructify. There are AD systems, there is a satellite system, there are electronic warfare systems, there are communication communication jamming. So there are a whole lot of these systems, which is mostly are indigenous, were at work simultaneously, make sure that this attack goes to the precise location.